Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Hello, my friends out there in the residential cleaning world. I'm so glad you're here for today's episode of True Grime Stories. I'm your host, and I want to welcome our guests today, Paul Freed and Laura Aquino. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Oh
That's
gosh, I
perfect.
got lucky
Perfect.
today. And they are with Maid in Hoboken and Maid in Jersey City. And they have built a great business. Actually, Paul started the business in 2013, calls himself a serial entrepreneur, and has lots of great stories about running business. I heard about Paul way before I met him because his great reputation preceded him. So I'm super excited to have a famous business owner on
Oh
our
boy. Oh boy.
our podcast today. Um, but he shared that he initially planned to sell his business, but found that the cleaning business was a great business to stay in, and we're glad that he did. And then back during COVID, Laura joined his business and helps him run the show and keeps it running with him. And Paul is doing lots of great things. So we'll hear about that today. So welcome, Paul and Laura, to True Grime Stories.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. When I saw that we had you on the schedule, I'm like, yay, it's going to be so fun.
Right.
So we're so glad to have you here. And so you started in 2013. Kind of what was you've done a lot of things in your lifetime, Paul. So what was the inspiration? What drew you to the cleaning business?
So my background is real estate development, construction. Um, I going back a bunch of years, I knew a guy who was in the residential cleaning business, and he had a very sizable business. Um, he sold his business for $4.2 million back in the late '90s.
Wow.
Now, of course, what I know about the cleaning business today is that he cooked the books and really stuck somebody. But I didn't know this at the time. Anyway, so he had this pot of money, and he had always asked, if there was any opportunities within, the world of real estate development.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a piece of property under contract. I was going to do it was a 6-unit building. We were going to do a condo conversion. I called him up. I said, "Here, this is what I've got. What do you think? Love it. Okay." He would come to my office. We would start talking about the real estate thing. Um, and I'd asked him if he ever thought about getting back into the residential cleaning business, and he said, I think about it every day. I said, well, look, if we're going to be involved in this real estate thing, why don't we start up a cleaning business?
Okay.
He said, sure. So we threw a couple of bucks into a bank account. We started doing some market research, um, and some marketing, building out a website, things like that. We hadn't launched yet, but what I came to realize is that this guy lacks some qualities that I would really need in a business partner. And I said, look, I don't think this is going to be a good idea for me. So, I'm going to move ahead on the real estate thing myself. As far as the cleaning business goes, if you want, just write me a check for what I put into it. You can take it and run with it, or I'll write you a check, or we can just chalk it up as a loss and walk away. And he said, well, write me a check. And, I'm like, okay. So I write the guy a check, and now it's like, okay, I got to start a cleaning business. Had no idea what I was doing.
Well,
But
I will say this, it's so good that you realized early that that partnership wasn't going to work out and that
yeah,
you took the action to move out of it. Cause I've lived through some partnership horror stories, or grime scenes. And so, yeah, that was a smart move right there, you know?
yeah. So anyway, and look, I knew that he had tremendous success in the cleaning industry, so I knew there was money to be made. Um, but when I look back and I think about some of the things I was doing, I mean, I hired two cleaners. I didn't know what they knew, right? And I just went out and bought, I don't know, 500 rolls of paper towels, and we started going clean. Um, and then little by little, I started to kind of feel my way through. I got an office. We kind of established ourselves. I had reached out to a local influencer and said, "Hey, started a new cleaning business. Would love to clean you for nothing. If you like it, post about it." She did, and the business just exploded.
That's awesome. Wow.
So
And we still clean.
Everybody write that one down. Find a
Yeah.
good influencer and clean
Oh,
for
yeah.
them.
yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how powerful that can be.
Oh, yeah.
oh, listen, after we cleaned for her, she posted about it. The next day, we got 60 inquiries.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Now,
is wow, that is so cool.
yeah. So we operate in a very it's an urban market, so it's very
Mhm.
dense. It's a highly populated, concentrated area. Our service area is probably about 2 miles.
That's so
Um,
crazy. I know you and I have talked about that before, and it just blows my mind, because I live in a not a rural area, but just a smaller area. I serve a county, you
Right,
know.
right. Yeah.
So my
you
market
know,
area is,
but you could
dozens of
drive.
miles across.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could probably drive 20 miles in what would take us, a mile. Like it would,
Right. Because
it's
of traffic.
yeah,
Yeah.
traffic, road closures, water main breaks, whatever it is. It's there's
Such a
uh,
different model. But I
it's a
love it. That's the cool thing about the residential cleaning industry is that you can put it almost anywhere because if people are living there, they have to have their houses cleaned.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Laura joined, during COVID and kind of whipped your business into shape, I understand.
So yeah, and look, what happened was, we experienced tremendous success right out of the gate, and
Mhm.
we hit a
Yeah,
million,
you said what, you hit 1,000,000 in how long?
11 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's that had to be a whirlwind year. Woo.
And I will tell you this: it wasn't easy. I mean,
Mhm.
I look back. I mean, I probably worked harder that year than I had ever worked in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it kinda makes my body hurt just to think about,
what I
you know,
knew, what I
how
knew is
many
that
initial cleans you had to do and everything. Oh my
Oh my.
goodness.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
What I knew is I knew that what if I put in the work, this thing is just going to kind of take off. It's going to do its thing, and it did. And then of course I started seeking help. So I reached out to a number of consultants throughout the industry, got to know a little bit about them, joined ARCC, um,
Mhm.
and then I hired a manager who he had a franchise. He was down in Sarasota. I guess back in 2008, Sarasota got crushed. Uh, with the economy, he lost his business there. He was originally from New Jersey, so he moved back and I hired him. So I think he had a cleaning authority franchise, so he had the experience. Um, what he couldn't handle was the growth. Right? He had acquired like 200 recurring customers inside of 6 years. We acquired 600 inside of 2 years,
Yeah,
and
that is
and
intense.
there were times I would drive by the office like on a Friday night at like 9 o'clock, and he was still there, and I could see him pacing and scratching his head, and he couldn't handle the growth. And
That is I mean, I haven't met I don't know if I've ever met anyone who grew that fast, and I've met hundreds of cleaning business owners. I don't know if I've met some who've grown really fast, gone to 1,000,000 in 2 or 3 years, but not in a year, and,
yeah,
not to grow that rapidly. So that's an amazing story in and of itself,
yeah,
for sure. So, one of the things that I really like about you too is that, one of the things that really touches my heart when you talk is you talk about how much you love your team. How big is your team now? How many cleaning technicians do you have on your team?
Oof. It The reason why I don't have the answer right off the top of my head is that we just hired 4 cleaners and in the last week, and we rehired somebody. So
Mhm.
I want
It's
to say,
always one of those numbers that,
yeah, it is.
yeah,
I'd say,
fluctuates.
is it 25? Are we 25, 20? It might be because we also have somebody who does like nighttime
Mhm.
cleaning. So we have her, and so yeah, I'd say it's in the mid 20s for sure.
yeah,
Okay, great.
25, 26.
And then are
Yeah.
you technically running is Made in New Jersey or in Jersey City, is that a separate location or is it kind of a satellite?
So it's all run out of one office.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Great. But it's more like you're using that name. It probably really helps with your SEO and everything
Correct.
to have that great name. I love your name, your business name, by the way. Well, this is True Grime Stories, and we want to get into your grime. So we know how hard this business is. You've talked about that. So I want you to think back about, a time when you really were challenged or struggling or ran into a wall or a plateau. And we call that your grime scene. So when you think about that, what's a time when you really were in the grime and you had to figure your way out of it?
Wow. There
I'm
were
sure
a
there's
couple.
dozens of stories, but
Certainly a couple of times.
yeah.
I mean, listen, certainly COVID, right?
Mhm.
And I think that like a lot of business owners, we had to pivot pretty quickly. Uh, our residential business evaporated overnight.
Mhm.
95% of our customers were gone. And again, working in an urban market, right, riding elevators, things like that. Nobody wanted you in their apartment. Um,
Wow.
so, we got into the disinfecting game
Mhm.
pretty early on, and what we ended up doing was um, we had relationships with a lot of politicians because they would always come by around election time, looking for donations.
Mhm.
And one of the things that come out of their mouths after you hand them the check and they leave is, if there's ever anything I can do for you, please call. So I called every one of them and said, yeah, there's something you can do for me now. I need government work.
There you
And
go. That's smart.
we secured government contracts, and we were disinfecting police departments, fire departments, police cars, municipal buildings,
Jail cells.
right, jail cells.
Wow.
Um, they would call us up on a Sunday afternoon, and
Oh yeah.
they arrested somebody Saturday night who had COVID. Can you disinfect the car? And gladly. Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
Senior buildings, public housing buildings, and it was. I mean, we had a banner year.
I was gonna
I mean, it
say, yeah,
was
we didn't feel any like dip in the revenue at
yeah.
all.
You maintain your revenue, you're just doing it differently.
Right.
And, we don't know what the next crisis will be, but there
Right.
will be one, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. I mean, obviously COVID, I mean, I've lived through a few different, economic downturns, the
Mhm.
recessions and things like that. But this one, being a health crisis
Right.
really was a challenge. And that not everybody remained standing.
Mm.
So many business owners kind of gave up.
True.
Right.
And I think this would be a great thing to talk about because there is a huge difference between the ones who came through and actually it made their business boom, which we experienced something similar. Like first we lost some business, but then once we figured it out,
Right.
oh my gosh, like our business doubled in a year.
Right.
And but what's the difference between when a crisis happens between a business that thrives in the crisis and a business that doesn't, and that mindset of the business owner that kind of happens because I'm sure you knew a lot of cleaning business owners who didn't make it,
Sure.
or
Hmm.
thrive or
Yeah.
struggled through it, came out on the other side half the size as they were before
Right.
instead of double the size.
Yeah.
Right.
And for us, listen, it was. I mean, listen, I hate to say it, but it was one of the best things that happened to our business because when we kind of jump started it again, we brought in a whole new level of customer, right? We brought in a better quality customer. We got rid of a lot of dead wood that we were carrying for a long time. We raised our
Describe
price.
dead wood in a kind way.
Uh,
Um,
so
but I think people need to also understand that, like, a lot of people don't realize that they're keeping people in their business who probably don't belong there.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, it was customers that we had forever that we never really increased our rates. And again, for me, I wasn't 100% focused on every particular account, right? So, when Laura came into the business, and again, she has a finance background. I explained to you earlier, she has an
Mhm.
MBA. She worked in corporate finance for 17 years in New York City. And, when she came on board, You know, and listen, not that I was struggling. I was, things were great, right? But she started drilling down, looking at every account, and saying like, you got a lot of accounts here where you're not making money, and I didn't care
Oh,
because they were offset by so many more that were making money. And again, I'm looking at a P&L at the end of the month, and I'm looking at my bank statement, and I'm like, I'm doing great. Uh,
yeah. But
and
think
she's
about that. You're keeping people that really aren't making money, but it's just instead of doing the thing that we should do, and say, I'm sorry, either, they move up in their pricing or, if they're like just an unpleasant client that your team doesn't want to clean for, getting them off your schedule, you just keep them on there because it just seems easier to do that.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
COVID was certainly one of those kind of, grime stories, if you will. Another struggle is, in a business like this, and I've always said this, right? Like, you know, ultimately, right, the market will determine how much you can pay your staff,
Hmm.
right? And, I see it in like kind industries. I've got friends that own daycare centers, and they tell me that, look, we have to recycle every 8 years, we have to recycle our employees because we can't afford to pay them more, right? Without
Oh, that's,
you know,
that
without,
doesn't
without
sound good.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and look, and if you think about it, right? Look, I know where we are. Look, we compete with a lot of independents, and
Mhm.
it's very difficult, right? A lot of people are shopping price. We try to promote the professionalism, the trust, right?
Mhm.
That's first and foremost. And most people listen. I mean, all of our customers buy into it. That's what they're looking for. Um, but nobody's going to pay us $400 every 2 weeks to clean their two-bedroom apartment because we pay our staff $50 an hour, right? Like at
True.
some,
Yeah. I mean,
some
it
point,
has to be within reason for
right?
sure. Hmm.
So one of the things we've always struggled with is, how do we keep employees forever, right? And we have, I mean, listen, we're fortunate. I mean, we have employees that have been with us since day one. Um,
Yeah.
and I have one employee who she had told our manager, she said, I don't care if Paul fires me. I wouldn't stop coming. You know, so
Oh, but wait a minute. We fired you.
yeah, she said she keeps showing
I
up.
think there's an episode of Seinfeld about that, George.
Yeah. So so one of the things we've been big on, of course, is culture, and and we have a great culture here. Um, but listen, at the end of the day, right? It comes down to dollars and cents as well.
Mhm.
So Um, and again, when Laura came into the business, so again, we have a personal relationship, and now it's like I've got this business, it's kind of
Mhm.
doing its thing, it's providing a comfortable lifestyle for me, but now I got to figure out how do we make this business support two families, right?
Well, and that's a challenge too. We were talking about that a little bit before we started recording today, is that you're in a, personal relationship and your business was designed to support one family, but now you're supporting two with
Yeah,
this one business. And I'm married into a blended family, so it is that, yours, mine, and ours kind of thing that uh, that's a big adjustment.
Yeah.
And many families, many couples run into that where okay, now I've got two households that we're managing and one business to do that. So that's a really big thing. There's so many couples in the cleaning industry. It's always amazing to see how they do that, and it can be great, or it can be, a terrible challenge for some people
Sure.
to run a business with their significant other.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear one of your secrets of working together as a couple. I know there's probably many, but
well, I mean, listen, for us, and so I have children. Laura has children. She's kind of immersed in her community, me and mine. So we don't live together. So
Maybe that's part of the secret.
that's
yeah, just don't live with them. Don't live with them.
that's
Then
the
you don't have
secret
to
right
see each
there.
other all the time,
Get
right?
separate homes. Get separate homes,
That's a good answer.
right?
Right. No,
That
but I
is
mean,
one that is one solution.
Yeah, for sure. But listen, I think Paul and I see each other probably every day almost.
Mhm.
It, you know, it it's mostly business. I mean, we obviously sprinkle in the personal part of it. But one of the big motivators for me is because we do have two households and one business. We have it keeps me going because I like we have to get these households to be able to afford everyday life.
Mhm.
So that's a big motivator for me.
Yeah, yeah. It I'm sure that it is.
Yeah.
And, so what's your big communication secret? I hear this a lot from couples who work together,
So I
that
oh,
they struggle with that communication piece, either and the boundaries of work and, personal life,
right.
that work is always bleeding into it. And I know, you both are passionate about business, so, for me, my work is my hobby.
Yeah. No, I get that. Same. I feel the same way. I actually was talking to a friend of mine and I was explaining to her, I'm like, I love work. I actually do. I'm like, I enjoy it. And I guess that's why, I don't mind doing it. It doesn't feel like work to me.
Mhm.
Um, but Paul would definitely, he definitely puts, reminds me, and he'll say, "It's time to clock out. It's time to clock out," and then we go about our business, like whether it be like in the middle of the week or on the weekends, when we spend time together. So he defines that more than I do, so that I
Mhm.
need that reminder. But like when we first started working together, though, we did butt heads. It wasn't that easy, because I need defined roles. For me, I think that was the key to our success and using our strengths and weaknesses. Or I shouldn't say weaknesses, but really our strengths.
Right.
So
Mhm.
my background is finance. He's big on marketing. So and we don't like the others, right? Like, so like he doesn't like finance, I don't like marketing. So it worked really, really well. So
Mhm.
I think it kind of fell into place for us pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, that is so important, and you will butt heads occasionally because you
Right.
have to work on the same thing just to get stuff done, but,
Yeah.
that clear definition of roles, I know my husband and I found that as well, is like, stay in your lane,
I was just gonna say, yeah. Yeah.
um, and, don't tell me what to do in
Right.
that regard,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
working together, and I love that, the clocking out thing.
Yeah,
I think the conscious effort of saying, "Okay, we're not working right now.
right.
Let's just focus on everything else that's
Exactly.
good about life." And, that I think that is important because business can be all-consuming to the point where there's no room left for
Definitely.
other things. I was actually just talking to a business owner yesterday who she's running a very large business completely by herself,
Mm.
and that's all she thinks about, that's all she does, no time for friendships, no time for her family, and, to be really conscious about it, I think it helps you show up better when you are working, if we can
100%.
consciously clock out.
100%. Even my
And
kids do the same thing. They they have to remind me as well, to be like, it's super important to be present, for other things other than work, outside of work. Um,
Mhm.
when I was working in the corporate world in New York City, I missed a lot with my kids. And, for my older ones, it was, unfortunate for them because they didn't get to see a lot of me. I missed a lot of their games and whatever was
Mm.
going on, their extracurricular activities. My youngest is now like reaping all the benefits of having this business because I make my own schedule. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it, and you can't put a price on that. So
No.
I can
Yeah.
be anywhere, anytime for him. And my older ones, they get a little bit of that now too. They're seeing it because if they need me, I'm still available. So, um, was that was a big like I awakening for me, like being in
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and being able to do that. So
Well, that's so great, and I think a lot of people don't realize that you can be an entrepreneur and have a personal life at the same time, but it really takes intention,
oh
and a
yeah,
into
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I love where we're going, and I love all these great tips that you're sharing with our audience. So I want to take a quick stop here and share a little bit with everyone about Cleaning Business Fundamentals, the sponsor of True Grime Stories. So let's hear this message, and we'll be right back. Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop-free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. Well, welcome back, everyone, to True Grime Stories. I'm here with Paul Freed and Laura Aquino, and we are talking about Maid in Hoboken and Maid in Jersey City. Very well respected and large cleaning businesses, and kind of in an urban market, which is unique in some regards. A lot of people are in smaller markets or more spread out markets, so they have kind of a unique model there as well. So, thank you, Paul and Laura. We were just talking about um, creating boundaries in your business and running a business as a couple. That is, I can't venture to say what percentage of the industry is like that, but I would say it's pretty significant.
Agreed.
Probably
Yeah,
25-30% at least.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you have, built this great business, and you're you've done a great job building a great team, a great culture, and things like that. Kind of what's the long range plan for your business?
The long range plan, we're continuing to grow. We are, uh, being rather strategic about it. So we are on what they consider the Gold Coast of New Jersey.
Mhm.
So we're right on the Hudson River, directly across from Manhattan. The town of Hoboken is a mile square, population of about 65, maybe 70,000 people, and continuing to grow. They're putting up new buildings everywhere. Um, Same with Jersey City. So there's a lot of growth. We just got a call today from a management company that they manage 30 buildings. We're going to meet with them. So there's a lot of that. Um,
Mhm.
so we're just going to continue to grow kind of town by town up along the river. Um, we have talked about venturing across the river, something Laura's not interested in, but
Sure
you
thing.
know, we we own the domain name Made in Manhattan as well. Um,
Mhm. I love it.
you
Yeah.
know, and, it's interesting because I acquired that domain from the people that had it from the movie. You can remember the movie with Jennifer
Oh,
Lopez.
yeah, that's cool. I love that story.
So, and this is interesting, right? So I wanted the domain. It was for sale. They wanted $50,000 for it. So I had offered them, I think I offered them 15,000 and they turned me down. And what I did was I went and I bought the domain Maids in Manhattan that was available, right?
Mhm.
I bought it from GoDaddy for like 99 cents, whatever it was.
Right, yeah.
And then I went back to the people that had the domain uh, Made in Manhattan and I explained to them that, the only people that would want to buy your domain is somebody in the residential cleaning business. I said, I own the domain Maids in Manhattan. I said, if anybody tried to open up under Maid in Manhattan, I would shut them down immediately. I said, your domain is worth nothing now. And I ended up buying it for about 2,500 bucks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a
That's a
great story.
that's a great story.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
because a lot of people struggle with, they kind of beat themselves up because they don't think they got the right domain name. And I mean, it is important, but today, I mean, the market has opened up so many different ways you can name your website that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think that there is certainly something in the name, and when you want to think about scalability, and we have a domain bestclean.com,
Mhm.
and I think that ultimately what we're going to do is probably rebrand at some point under that name, and then we'll have kind of sub domains or subsites
Mhm.
underneath that, made in Hoboken, made in Jersey City, um, made in Edgewater, and we'll just kind of continue to grow that. But I did buy like we own Made in Philadelphia, Made in Malibu, Made in LA, Made we bought them up all over. So long term, who knows?
Mhm.
Um, we're having a good time growing this thing. As you know, we became CBF members back in April, and
Mhm.
this was a huge change for us. And and I will say that this was the answer to a lot of problems that we had, and not even realizing how many problems this actually solved for us, right?
What was like one of the big ahas, like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I needed to solve this problem?"
I think it was the transitioning to solo cleaners.
Yeah, we just
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were working in teams of two, and transitioning to the solo cleaner and implementing the Empower Pay like was game changer
yeah,
for it
for
was
everybody.
yeah for
I mean, really,
exactly
game changer for the staff, game changer
yeah
for the company.
yeah
Um, I had, I'll share this. I mean,
Mhm.
I sat at one of Debbie's conferences back in 2017,
Mhm.
and it was like, okay, like this is neat, but yeah, I don't know, I'm doing all right, right? Um, you know, and just didn't kind of get the message. We went again, so we went back in, this past April of 2025.
yeah
Mhm.
We
just a
went
few
with
months ago.
a group of people, and we went there with the intent of, just kind of writing off a business trip. We're gonna have a good time. We have some good food, and we'll meet some good people. But we're not spending a dime. We're not joining this, right? Like that. That's what it was. And
Yeah
so, and I'll tell you, the most all of the group members that we went with all joined, right?
Really?
yeah
That's amazing. Well,
And
I tell you, I mean, once you get in there and you start to get immersed in the value of the program and how it helps you just learn the most successful proven strategies in the residential cleaning industry. And one of the things that we teach is how to run your business with solo cleaners. So, what's the advantage of the solo cleaner for you?
so I mean for me I think it's countless. So like I know that when we got back, what was happening was that even though we lost cleaners, we never lost business. If anything, it was so therefore like our it's like our revenue stayed the same. So it was we right now I think we have 14 solos, and we still have some teams. So we're just
Mhm.
kind of taking our time with the last few teams.
Yeah,
But I
it's
will,
not something that has to be rolled out overnight to the whole company at one time. And that's one of the things that I think scares people sometimes is they think, "Oh, how am I gonna do that?" I mean, I literally rolled it out one person at a time.
yeah, same. That's what we've been doing, and
Mhm.
it's nice, because it's funny because the first thing that Paul said when we got back in the morning meeting was, "Who wants to make $1,000?" And all the hands go up. I think even our drivers, our hands are going up. They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah,"
right,
and then he's like, "And who wants to, work by themselves?" And all the hands went down.
yeah,
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that, but
yeah,
it's because it's the fear of the unknown,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
a hundred
And
percent.
and I'll tell you, look, one of the things that I have always kind of proven to my staff is that I'm trying to fight for them every day,
Yeah,
right? Look, one of the things that they know is that, and I've explained to them, look, we're trying to figure out how we can get you more money, right? Like always.
yeah.
Grab a tip. Can you grab one of those?
Oh, I don't.
Maybe it's Sandra's office.
Yeah, hold on.
So anyway, and we have different incentive programs for them, and we have different contests for them, and every time we approach another kind of 100 Google reviews, it's like we have a 200 for 200 giveaway, 300 for
Mhm.
300 giveaway. Right now we're having an 800 for 800 giveaway. So whoever gets
Awesome.
the most Google reviews between now and 800 gets $800. Um,
Woo.
so we're always kind of and they know that, right? So,
Mhm.
so basically, what I had said to him was, look, you've got to trust. Excuse me, you've got to trust us here. This is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
We lost one
Mhm.
employee
Yeah.
over the transition, and that was fine. Um, but it's like now, um, it's so interesting because look, and I know sometimes when I speak like this, it almost sounds like I'm a paid spokesperson for Debbie Sardone, but trust me, I am not. All
No,
right,
you
I
yeah,
I don't
right,
discount for anything. I don't
Right.
write
right.
nothing. But I'll tell you what, everything that she had said in April is reality, right? You're going to find out who your A
She is a
player.
truth teller, man.
Yeah,
She
Yeah.
is
yeah.
100% a truth teller.
Yeah. And
You're
it
gonna
was so eye
you're
opening.
gonna find out who your A players are,
Yeah.
right? Who your B players are, who your C players are, and I will tell you this: who we thought were our A players are hardly C players, right? Now you can get
What's
lost.
that definition? Because I think that's really helpful for people
So
to
you can get
know.
lost in a team, right?
Mhm, yeah.
Um, now you break that team apart, and you know who's producing and who's not producing,
Right.
right? Becomes very clear.
Someone often is carrying the
Yeah.
Yes,
weight.
yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and look, we have two employees that have been with us. They've been with us over 10 years, and what we realize is they're not producing now.
Well,
We
okay.
but
All
so
right.
so now it takes a little investigating on our part, right? So
Mhm.
we send our field manager, just go and observe, because my thought was they're probably just over cleaning, right?
Which a lot of people do.
Right,
Mhm.
and that was the case, because now she's hitting the times, boom, 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 right? But
Yeah.
what's amazing is, a lot of our staff has gone now from making, 650, $700 a week to making $1,100 a week.
Oh my gosh.
And
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
but you know what, Jeannie, when you see how that impacts somebody, right? And listen, I'm not saying that they're driving up in a brand new car or any of that, but you know what? Like, you can just see the way they're carrying themselves, and they have so much more self worth.
Yeah. Well,
It's
yeah, when
Well,
it's
and they don't have the strain of the financial instability that they had before. I mean,
right.
people show up better when their
Yeah.
lives are more stable.
Yes.
100%.
And when you switch to the solo cleaning model, it gives you that opportunity to load to really optimize their schedule in a way that they have that opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah. When we first
Oh, I
rolled it
love that.
out, yeah, when we first rolled it out, and we had only like two or three um solos, and one of them, when she came back to the office, we asked her, so what'd you think, how'd it go? And her first thing was like, no good, no good. And we're like, what? And I was shocked, and I was like, what happened, what's going on? And she's just going on about, I don't remember what she was going on about. And then she continued, like a week later she made like $1,100. And we sat her down, we explained to her all this other stuff, and she started crying, like she was in tears of joy. She just
Oh,
couldn't. Oh my god, she goes, oh my god, like she couldn't believe that her check was that big, and this was a direct result of being a solo cleaner.
it's a
So
lot. Becoming a solo cleaner is a life-changing experience for people. And it's funny when I think back on it because I was very resistant to that.
yeah.
And I think back on it, I'm like, why was I resistant to that when thousands of people are solo cleaning all around me? All these individuals that are out cleaning, they have 10 clients and they're just cleaning on the side and they're doing that all solo. So why would I think that we
Right.
can't?
Right.
Yeah.
And but I found very similar, but I love that you shared that because it's a really important piece. It's kind of one of the integral parts of the model that we teach inside of cleaning business fundamentals, but it's so much more than making your business efficient. It's
Yeah.
actually gonna change the lives of the people on your team.
Absolutely.
And it can have a generational impact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what? And
Yes.
you mentioned change, right? And look, for the cleaning techs, yeah. I mean, it's change. It's significant change, right? But you know what? For a business owner that's been operating the same way for 13 years, right? I mean, it's significant change. It's tremendous change. It's difficult change. But I will tell you what, it is great change.
Yeah.
look, for me, look, I'm kind of, I, I think I'm getting a little wiser with age, right? And and I understand my limitations, and I I try to exercise a little bit of humility in my life.
I'm so
And
glad this is being recorded, by the way.
and, and look, I'm humble enough to know that I know what I know what I don't know,
Mhm.
and you know what, like if I need help, I'm going to reach out for it,
Yeah.
right? And I think for us, CBF was the help that we needed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whether we realized we needed it or not, I don't know.
Right.
But it it came at the right time. And I think when we needed it most. And
Yeah.
it's not that we were struggling in any particular way.
Yeah. I mean, we were,
Um,
listen, we were growing. We were definitely growing.
Mhm.
It wasn't like we were plateauing or anything. Every year was tremendous growth. But now
Mhm.
it was efficient growth,
yeah.
which was the key to it all. It's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, we could do this amazing growth, right? And not have to, with a tremendous amount of hiring, right? It's like,
Right. Fewer people can clean the same amount of homes
yes,
when you switch to solo, and a lot of people don't realize how the productivity goes up,
And then
it's
in that
how it
amazing.
helps your pricing structure.
Oh my God,
It's
tremendously.
just
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. We one of the things that we did a couple of years ago. We started another business. We started a business called Bargain Maids, where it was just kind of flat rate pricing, and we were kind of
it almost had a solo model though.
it did have a solo model,
But
and we were
it was inefficient, like
right.
the model was so, and if that makes any sense, but
Mhm.
But it was like a sister company to Maid in Hoboken,
yeah,
and it was like, okay, if you don't want to pay Maid in Hoboken prices, we can refer you over to Bargain Mage, which is kind of a dumbed down version of So and now the reality is, with our new pricing structure
yeah,
and with what we're learning through CBF, we close down Bargain Mage. We don't even need that anymore,
yeah,
right?
That's
yeah,
so great. Well, and it's a benefit to your team, but it's also a huge benefit to your business. I remember talking to a business owner who did the same thing, switched to the solo model. And he goes, the crazy thing is, my team are making more money than they've ever made,
right,
and I'm making more money than I've ever made.
right, exactly.
Listen, and
How
that
does
and
that work?
right,
Right, right. I keep scratching my head, like, how is that working? But
How
I
does
see
that
the numbers,
how does it
you know,
work? It's a great
we
math problem.
right?
we prove it out every week.
Yeah,
And listen, I've always kind of thought of myself as a pretty decent guy when it came to math, and but it's like, I don't know, they're making more money, we're making more
yeah,
money, or
yeah,
nobody's complaining about pricing,
yeah.
um, and like things like monthly cleanings, right?
Oh yeah, that was another thing. I had, we were billing out hourly, and like, I'm kind of like, oh, but it became complicated. Like, introducing the solo, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, how am I going to present this to the customer? It actually gave me a headache, and then we decided, okay, we're just going to offer these flat rates for these monthlies and switch them over. And like, they were paying, they like, say they were paying $230, right, for a cleaning. It was like, okay, so we're just doing flat rate. It's always going to be 230 no matter what. And
Mhm.
we send out that email, and then the cleaners would get in there, and then it was like, oh my god,
2 hours they're done, and
and
we're
billing at like
billing out.
$115 an hour. So it's
Right.
like, oh my goodness, like, and I felt bad. I was like, oh my God. I'm thinking, no, wait, they're doing the exact same job, right? Like, they're covering the same areas, they're doing everything right, that the team was doing, but just less time. And,
It's so much more efficient. Well,
yeah, it's
that's
amazing.
so great. I love that you shared that, because that is one thing that people wonder about. Like,
Yeah.
how do those people do that? So it's so great that you shared that. Well, before we leave today, if I would love it if you would just share one encouragement for our audience. You've shared so many great um, stories and strategies that you've used to overcome challenges in your business. But what's one little tidbit of advice or encouragement that you can give to people who are out there trying to grow their cleaning business?
Well,
You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Like, change is good. Yeah.
and the dog's not that old. All right, but listen, for
I know
me,
it's no older dogs, so yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So for me, I'll throw this out. This is an industry that gets kind of overlooked a lot. It's an industry that gets looked down on a lot. And what I can say is, the more professional you act, the more professional you're going to be treated. And we have always been that way. Look, we're a professional business, and our staff's professionally trained, and we treat our customers with respect, and we demand that they treat us with respect. Um,
Mhm.
so I would say that, just, what, you're a professional business owner, you're a professional company, uh, demand the respect that you deserve,
Mhm.
or get better clients, right?
Right, yeah. Well, that's so good.
Yeah.
If you can try to be professional as you want, but if people don't treat you that way, you shouldn't take it. And
No,
that's kinda like that dead wood that you were talking about in your customer list, that's another customer that shouldn't be on your list if
yeah,
they don't respect you, right? And same with team members, if they can't live up to your professionalism standards, then same thing. But I love that. That's so good, and it's so true.
Yeah.
Seen it over and over again.
I would say for me, it would be to not overthink. And I'm a thinker. I think out everything. I plan. But to overthink these principles of, that Debbie's teaching, don't overthink it, just do, and don't think like, oh, but what if, and what if. It's just do it and implement it and see what happens. Listen, if it doesn't work out, then change it. You can make changes. That it's your business. So you make the rules, you decide everything. So don't let your customers run your business. So keep it simple and just
Mhm.
implement, because you'll be so happy you did, and you'll see those changes. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is sometimes, we just get comfortable doing the thing that we've done forever.
right.
sure,
But
Yeah, sure.
being open to new ideas, I think, is the thing that sets businesses apart that grow like yours. And those who get stuck for long periods of time, afraid to try something new. So I
I would.
appreciate you both so much. Gosh, this has
oh, thank
been this has been fun,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It was lots
I've loved yeah, I've loved having this time with you. So I wish you continued growth and success. Look forward to seeing you again soon and maybe having you
likewise,
back on True Grime Stories.
anytime.
And thank you to our audience for being with us today. I hope that you found a gem in these grime scenes and the results that Paul and Laura have shared. And if you love this episode, be sure and check out the next one or check out our past episodes. There's so many great tips inside of True Grime Stories. And I hope you'll join us next time. And be sure and share, download, and subscribe. We'll see you again, everyone. Thanks for being here on True Grime Stories. Bye,
Awesome. Thank
everyone.
you, Jeannie.
Bye.
That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.